August 1947. In the streets of Delhi, millions of people were celebrating. British rule was finally coming to an end. But away from the crowds, inside wood-paneled rooms, a completely different reality was unfolding. A small group of men sat around a table, quietly finalizing a decision. They had just a few weeks to execute a plan that would dictate the lives of nearly 2 billion people over the next century. The history books often frame this week strictly as the achievement of independence. Look closer at the actual mechanics, though, and it resembles a massive, meticulously planned geopolitical reconfiguration, one carried out entirely in silence. The primary instrument for this operation was a simple geographical map. Look at this map. You see a vast, interconnected civilization stretching from the Himalayas to the Arabian Sea. For centuries, this territory functioned without these hard internal borders. Now, the authorities demanded that a line be sliced straight through the middle of it, and they gave themselves less than 40 days to finish the job. Under those conditions, a map stops being a reflection of geography. It becomes a lethal blueprint, demonstrating how these specific lines were engineered to redistribute authority across the region. The borders were drawn by a man who had never actually set foot in the region. He was a British lawyer, brought in specifically because he lacked local ties or knowledge of the terrain. Working from census reports, he drafted his lines based on numbers. His pen cut across vital rivers, severed unified railway networks, and sliced directly through ancient villages. The moment the ink dried, the reality on the ground fractured. People literally went to sleep belonging to one country and woke up assigned to another. When a boundary is drafted by a stranger working in total isolation, disaster ceases to be a risk. It becomes an engineered certainty. Because the exact locations of these new lines were kept secret until the last minute, panic filled the void. Rumors of where the border might fall spread through towns faster than any official broadcast could reach them. Families suddenly had to guess which side of the invisible line would be safe. That uncertainty triggered the largest and fastest mass human migration in recorded history. Millions of people abandoned homes their families had inhabited for generations, carrying whatever they could physically hold, and started walking. The transport infrastructure buckled instantly. You can see the scale here, refugees climbing onto the roofs of trains to escape across the new divide. Beneath the statistics was an immense psychological toll. Notice the boy in the foreground, sitting in isolation above a sprawling refugee camp that has replaced his former life. The authorities claimed these boundaries would organize a clean transition of power. Instead, their rushed implementation systematically manufactured mass displacement. Decades later, historians still debate the true motivations behind that brutal 5-week timeline. We have to ask if this level of fallout was the result of administrative negligence or a calculated response to political pressure. Whatever the intent, this blueprint locked in the trajectory of South Asia. The region's economies, politics, and security were permanently fractured. Today's volatile military standoffs point directly back to the erratic curves drawn in 1947. It forces us to rethink what a border actually is. We often treat them like natural geographic facts, like mountains or rivers, but they are human decrees. A few strokes of ink on paper can override centuries of shared history, dictate a person's identity, and ultimately determine their survival. The evidence leads back to the same unsettling conclusion. In 1947, a few hasty strokes of a pen proved as consequential as any military campaign. A stranger with a piece of paper decided where millions belonged, and the world is still dealing with the fallout.